My name is Elizabeth Ward. I am the director of the Sierra Club Wisconsin chapter. All month long, the Sierra Club has been celebrating Public Lands Month. This has included things like tree plantings, hikes, paddles, attending the Line 5 hearing, gathering to take action to protect our public lands, opposing attacks on the roadless rule, and the launch of our toolkit to get lead out of our natural spaces, and so much more. And today, we are excited to launch our interactive conservation dashboard. The Wisconsin Life and Landscapes dashboard showcases the importance of our lands from their support of biodiversity to cultural importance and climate change mitigation. The interactive map that is part of the dashboard helps people explore their favorite places in Wisconsin, from our state gems like Devil's Lake and Copper Falls State Park to their own backyards. We are lucky to live in a place with such diverse landscapes, from forests and wetlands to prairies and culturally important sites. We're launching this dashboard today ahead of Public Lands Day this weekend. We're encouraging everyone to get outside, enjoy our amazing lands, and this tool will add to that experience. So let's jump in. First, I'd like to welcome Amy Mueller, a member of the Wisconsin Chapter Executive Committee who helped put the dashboard together. She'll describe the project and why we sought out to do this.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Well, initially, we set out to do this project a little bit ago, and it's been a journey, but this was a project to have a more proactive approach to being able to identify our land, water, and wildlife areas that we want to protect here in Wisconsin. Like any project, it took a few twists and turns. Initially, we were thinking about highlighting only certain places to focus on for future conservation, kind of creating a top 10 list. And ultimately, through conversations along the way, we took a step back and we realized that we needed to broaden our perspective and that Wisconsin is one interconnected ecosystem. Then, by embracing that vision, we wanted to be able to explore layer by layer to better understand what makes our own backyards and parks and public lands so special. I think this tool is really important and I'm excited about it because it connects people to natural communities, but in a high-tech way. Essentially, it provides a new lens to use when looking at why we should be protecting the habitats all around us. Ideally, it gets people asking questions and playing with the mapping tools that we're going to be showing you today. Asking questions like, should I be looking for the rusty patched bumblebee in my garden? Where could I go to maybe hear a wolf howl in the wild? And what is the closest state natural area? Are just a few that you could start to explore. And hopefully, as a result of this computer-based curiosity, we'll get people outside to explore, just like you said, it is Public Lands Month. And certainly we know more than anyone that connecting people to the outdoors is one of the best ways to ultimately protect our wild places. As it turns out, this is more important now than ever, given that the popular Knowles-Nelson stewardship funding is now in danger of not getting the critical funds that it needs to continue. Hopefully, this tool can inspire people to support the conserving of our public lands and the Knowles-Nelson program going forward. I also think this tool is important because it gives very practical ways to protect and restore the nature right around where you are by starting locally. In addition to advocating for better policy, we give you very simple steps that you can implement right where you are. So no matter where you are, examples would include having a pollinator-friendly lawn, and reminders to skip the fall cleanup. That's very important right now in the season we're in. Give yourself a break because all of those expired stems and leaves and dead wood from the summer are now what insects and pollinators need to survive the upcoming winter. Personally, I've learned a lot as being part of this project over the years, and I'm excited to bring it to light here today. And one of the things I learned that really surprised me was that bur oak trees are a keystone species. Here's a fun fact that we share. The largest bur oak in Wisconsin is found on a farm in Waukesha County, where I live, in a farm in Dousman. And it's estimated to have been started as an acorn in 1711. If you think about what that tree has survived and witnessed, it's a living artifact, and it's so cool. So to be able to go see that is really, I think, that being part of this project team. I also learned about the areas of cultural significance that we explore, and it certainly highlights areas for wild ricing, spearfishing, and especially the effigy mounds, like Mound Man east of Baraboo. I had never heard of that growing up in Wisconsin here, but that was built back more than 1,000 years ago, and is now a National Historic Landmark. So it's something I want to go check out. And then certainly after using the tool, we really want people to take action in some way. That's the ultimate goal here. So big or small. So for example, after learning about bur oak trees, that motivated my family and I to clear out a section of our backyard from buckthorn and planted 13 bur oak seedlings. So they're all still doing good. Another way is to just get out and explore, right? We said get out on those natural communities and public lands and enjoy it. And then back at home, try planting more native plants, trees, and shrubs. They're super important for all our wildlife, especially our pollinators. And then, of course, bottom line, we really want people to advocate for preserving natural areas that are valuable for wildlife and protect our water quality. This tool is meant to aid in that advocacy for sure. And again, it's especially important right now to make your voice heard in supporting the continuation of the Knowles Nelson Fund. So with that, I will pass it to Cassie to show us more about the tool itself.
Thanks so much, Amy. Hi, I'm Cassie Steiner. I am a senior campaign coordinator with the Wisconsin chapter, and was also on the project design team with Amy. And I've got a video that demonstrates how you can use the tool and some of the features that Amy mentioned. So I'll share my screen so we can watch that. And then after all of the speakers, I can answer questions and share how to access it. The Sierra Club Wisconsin chapter is thrilled to launch our new dashboard and interactive map, Layers of Wisconsin Life and Landscapes. A powerful tool to explore Wisconsin's lands and waters through the lens of the Global 30 by 30 initiative, the ambitious goal to protect 30% of land and water by 2030. From forests and wetlands to prairies and culturally important sites, this tool lets you see diverse habitats across the state and understand their crucial roles in climate mitigation, biodiversity, and human well-being. And you can even discover what's thriving right in your own backyard. The first element of the dashboard is an interactive and easy-to-use website. Your text, videos, maps, and images, the dashboard makes it easy to explore, learn, and get inspired to protect Wisconsin's natural heritage for future generations. The second element of the map is more complex and detailed. It's an interactive GIS map. The map uses publicly available data from government agencies, nonprofits, and research institutions to pull together many layers that you could consider when identifying why a specific area in Wisconsin is unique, special, and worthy of conservation efforts. Here are a couple examples of how I've used the map. The first example is about my own backyard. I recently moved to Rock County after living in Dane County for 10 years. In my own yard, I've seen some bumblebees coming to the bee balm that I planted, and I was curious if I was in a high potential zone for the rusty patched bumblebee. Sure enough, there are several of those areas in Rock County very near me. So I'm able to plant more pollinator-friendly plants to support this important species. The second example is more focused on advocacy. There is explorative drilling for copper and gold in the Chequamegon National Forest in Taylor County. The Bend Copper Gold Deposit is 19 miles northwest of Medford, Wisconsin, near the North Fork Yellow River. By clicking through various layers, I can find what is at risk by this extractive industry. Some of the things that I found were the level of protection that the National Forest has, GAP 3, which means it's open to extraction, which is why a mine is able to be proposed for a national forest that's supposed to be protected. I was able to check out total forest carbon, which is high, wetlands, which are present with marsh, swamp, bog, or prairie, the presence of keystone species like trout and oak, proximity to important bird areas like the Perkinstown Important Bird Area, which provides habitat for numerous bird species like woodland birds, including golden-winged warbler and northern harrier, and various cultural sites, including ceded territory from the Treaty of 1837, spearing and netting locations, and wild rice locations. By knowing what's at risk, I'm better informed about the issues that I want to advocate about. With our wild places under threat, advocacy on policy as well as hyper-local action have become so important. The layers of Wisconsin Life and Landscape Dashboard can help everyday people, advocates, and policymakers in understanding how every corner of the state has unique and special places to protect and love.
Thank you, Cassie. Oh, so.
A few examples of how this tool can be used, and we'll be putting in the chat and following up in the media advisory the links to access the tool directly, and then the link to share it publicly.
Great. Thank you, Cassie. Finally, I'd like to invite one of Sierra Club Fox Valley Group's outings leader, Peter Job, up to describe how he'll use the dashboard as he helps connect people to nature.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Peter Job. I'm from Appleton area, Fox Valley Sierra Group. And we talk about things in our backyard that we don't even know about. Looking through the interactive map area, reminded me of one of those that I discovered this spring. Was this Sage Bottom State Natural Area, about a mile from my house. Probably driven by it a million times. Looking on the interactive map, I was like, yeah, there it is. That's the place right there. So definitely one avenue to use the map to find areas within your region and within your backyard even. I really did like the land force climate page. Cathedral Woods State Natural Area is going to be definitely one on our list to go check out. Maybe lead a hike in, but there's so many, and it's really hard when you're looking for places to take groups on an outing, just to find. I mean, there's popular ones that are readily available when you do searches, but some of these other ones that aren't so popular, it's really hard to locate and see what the resource is. Are there trails? But this is a great place that kind of brings all those together. So I really appreciate you guys are making my job too easy when you put this together. So I really appreciate that. But it is a great resource.
Perfect. Thanks, Peter. And with that, we'll conclude and open it up to questions. Feel free to use the chat or the Q&A form. Before we do that, I just want to take a moment and encourage everyone to take their time with the tool, get to know your own backyard, your favorite places, and the hidden gems around Wisconsin. Take a moment to appreciate the beauty and the importance of our state and its natural places. As we open it up for questions, Cassie, do you want to describe how people can access the tool?
Yes. So for members of the public, we have a form where you just enter your name and your email, and it will pull up the link that you can click on and access the tool right away. We'll also send a follow-up email with that link so that you can come back to it again and again. The short link for that is sc.org/WI dashboard, all lowercase. And then we'll also share the link to the map directly with press as well, so you can click around without filling out that form.
Great. We have a couple of questions. The first question, and whoever wants to answer will just feel free to come off and answer, is how do you plan to keep the data up to date?
Happy to take this one. This was something that we were really intentional with when creating the tool. It's so often that you can write a great report and then the next day there's construction that happens and the data is different. All of the layers in our map are synced to publicly available information through research institutions and government agencies that do update their data fairly regularly. So we were pretty thoughtful about which data sources we were using and making sure they were things that would be updated. Since all the data lives with external entities, we don't have to update any of that information. We're just pulling all of these different resources in one place, so you don't have to click open 20 different browsers. You can be in one place and view all of this information layered on top of each other.
Great. Another question, how did your plans change through the creation of the tool?
I can jump in, having been through it. I sort of alluded to it a little bit. So initially we were thinking about kind of using this as a springboard to focus on maybe like a top 10 areas that we would focus on for additional conservation or protections in our state. So a little bit narrower in scope. And I think through our conversations and even with different experts. We worked with and talked with people at the DNR, and that sort of made us evaluate and sort of broaden the scope to include all of Wisconsin and where we are able to make the biggest influence oftentimes can be in our backyard. So just providing the information that is going to be the most valuable for people to have that immediate impact. So I think it sort of did evolve, and I think really our scope broadened, and I think it provides a lot of information in one spot, just like Peter was saying. So that's sort of the evolution of the dashboard.
I'll also add that I'm glad we were as adaptable in the project as we were, because the political realities of land conservation have changed dramatically since we started the project. We started with hope for the Restoring America's Wildlife Act, which was an effort that was started under the Biden administration to invest in more land conservation. And so we were hoping for a large expansion of public lands in the state. And now we're in a very different political reality where our lands are under attack at the national and state level, as Amy has mentioned. And so this really highlights how we need to push for policy change and why that's important. And while things feel so difficult in that realm, we can take action in our own backyards in really tangible but meaningful ways. And so the hope that this can help combine both the policy advocacy and that individual action. And I'll also say that as policies have changed at the federal level, even access to data changed through this project. So some of the maps and the data we were using was from the like US Forest Service or some other federal agencies. who removed data under the Trump administration, especially things related to climate change. And so even what data was available as we were putting this together was changing pretty rapidly based on changing political environment.
Great. And we have one more question though. Feel anybody get your questions in if you have another question. And maybe you each can answer this last question. How do you hope people use the dashboard and the mapping tool?
I'll jump in first. I'll start. I hope that it's a jumping off point for, hey, I want to get out this weekend, or I have an extra day off, or I'm already planning to go to Baraboo. What else could I see there? I think I really do hope that it gets people out and exploring and appreciating what we are so lucky to have here in Wisconsin. And sometimes we might not even recognize what we have in terms of keystone species in our own backyard. So I hope that it kind of connects the dots to getting people outside and appreciating what is there that maybe people know about, and maybe learning about what they didn't know was already there. And I'll pass it to the next.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So we've got that awareness to that 30-30 goal is an awesome goal, and just bringing that to public awareness that we have that. For me, when when the monarch butterfly population started to decline, the plant, milkweed, you got milkweed all over your yard, and like you see a monarch and you're like, oh my gosh, we found a monarch. There's so many other species like that, and so much other things that we can do that the public's just not aware of, or not really motivated to take action to that. Anyway, this brings another level of awareness, and then some concrete action to take to help with those species. So I think it's valuable that way.
Yeah, I agree with those ways. Another way that I use the tool that I caught when editing that video was to find public lands and parks near me. As Peter mentioned, you could look at the state parks website and then your county parks and then your local parks and see where you want to go. This map has kind of all of those and state recreational trails. So I was able to find some park options without having to go to multiple different places. And so even just learning what's in my own county that I could go to, I was so familiar with Dane County parks, and I'm excited to get to know Rock County as well.
Great. I don't see any other questions. Last call if you have one. Otherwise, thank you all for this great presentation. Thank you all for attending. We will follow up, as Cassie mentioned, with a press release with the link and a